Call this Sawyer County Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Ron Buckholz,
Present.
Mark Helwig,
Here.
Jeff Haney,
Here.
Marshall Savitsky,
Here.
John Sarowski.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Number 3, Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, number 4, certification of compliance with the open meeting law, Madam Clerk.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
All right, thank you. Number 5, meeting agenda has been presented. Number 6, public comment. Okay. All right. I'm not going to read the whole spiel then. Number 7, consider approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, we have motion by Mr. Helwig,
I second that.
second by Mr. Sarowski to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Number 8, circuit judge's report. We don't have one today, huh? Not online? I don't know. Okay. All right. Funny they wouldn't write a report if they're not going to be here, but they must be busy, so. All right. We're going to go on then to number 9, Clerk of Courts report, Marge.
Add to my report, just to let you know that we have a new Emily. Emily left to go to college to become an attorney. We have Emily Warner. She started June 11th. And things are working well. We did lose our part-time employee. She decided that the position just wasn't a good fit for her. So
Oh,
looking to fill that.
okay. All right. Anybody have any questions for Marge on her report? No? Okay, thanks, Marge. Good report, as always. Okay, number 10, Sheriff's Department report. Lieutenant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Patrol report is attached, as you can see. Our call volume did decrease from previous month to 687. And it also is a decrease from where we were last year, where we had 1,281 calls for service. For the reporting period, our deputies have issued 31 traffic citations, 16 written warnings, and 1 non-traffic citation. Per community maps, there have been 27 total crashes, 8 with personal injury, and 1 additional fatality, along with the fatality that did not make last month's report, but happened after it was printed, bringing our totals to 160 crashes, 34 with personal injury, and 2 fatalities. We hope that number does not increase anymore. We did promote Deputy Nate Fry to the recreational deputy position. He's replacing Craig Depew, who retired last month. He is a 10-year veteran with the Sheriff's Office. And I'll be working with local DNR wardens and Deputy Darren Jensen to bring enforcement and education to our area. We are still in the hiring process for the vacant deputy position. There have been relatively few qualified applicants, however. We have extended the job posting until the first week of July and hope to have a selection made by mid-month. Our additional informations are attached.
Okay. Lieutenant, I only got one question. I was reading the CAD report here, and what is the animal paw? Does that?
The animal complaints?
Yeah, animal complaint.
Well, that could be stuff relative to
That's
animal control, or it could
okay.
also be,
Okay.
it could be cows in the roadway or loose
Okay.
horses or something. So anything
Okay.
related to
All right.
animals in general.
All right. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for the lieutenant? No? Okay. Thanks, Lieutenant. Number B, jail report.
I'll provide that as well. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, so I would just give you the basic
Well,
numbers.
You'll be good at it. You know that.
Okay. Our average daily population continued to be about 58.25, and year to date, we keep about 62.79. Last year at this time, we were at 75. Our current inmate unemployment rate is 73%. And total population as of the day's report was 53. Yeah, that's all I can get. The sergeant has added the daily population numbers and statistics.
Okay, any questions? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, number C, Communication Center and Emergency Management. Deputy Rapinski, you're up. Is that okay if I call you that? Or what do you want me to?
That's fine.
That's fine?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They call me director at work, but
So you want me to call you that?
deputies.
Okay. I know you told me one time.
Thank you. From this time last year, our 911 hangups has significantly decreased, although it still remains one of our highest volumes of calls. We had 811 this time last year to 350, hoping that it's due to the public outreach that we put on for the 911 hangups to decrease and to turn off that app or that application on the phones. So the dispatch center is progressing and moving towards fully staffed, with one dispatcher entering their evaluation. Actually, she's being evaluated today and a couple more shifts after this. Another one is in the middle of their training, with another one beginning mid-July. There are still 2 full-time vacancies currently. We're hoping that at least 2 of the 3 that are training will be moved to full-time eventually. All the dispatchers are now trained in warrant entry and validation, which is something that only one dispatcher was doing in years past. So all of them have been working through that, evening out the workload. And the current dispatchers we have, with their knowledge and abilities, have been doing exceptionally well, dedicating themselves to the training of our new staff. Like Lieutenant said, our calls are down from this time last year, from 2097 to 1437 as the date of this report. For emergency management, still continuing to work with townships and villages to discuss their EOP plans, and as well as updating Sawyer counties. Been attending regular fire association meetings with Sheriff Morotek and Chief Deputy Sedera. We are planning National Night Out. It is set for August 6th, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It'll be held at the intermediate school like it was in years past. Been working with Deputy Nelson and staff from Tamarack Health to provide the community event. With all of the rain, fortunately, we have not seen any significant severe weather issues. We've also applied for the state computer hazmat grant. And we'll be offering still the October 2nd through October 3rd emergency planning course.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Deputy Rapinski? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, number D, Public Safety Radio Systems Upgrade.
I think I'll start on that one.
Okay,
So there's been work happening on it this past month to trying to narrow down our options, or not to maybe narrow down, but looking at all of our options. So a couple things that have happened. GenCom has been in touch with WOJB and has started the conversation about the availability of using their radio tower. Preliminary, there does appear to be some room on it. They're going through the technical side of what can the tower support the equipment? How high can it be on their tower? And then we just had a brief conversation with station manager at WOJB about contracts and starting to work on what it if we were to lease space on it, how are we going to do that and the cost? We have not talked dollar amounts yet, just that there would be some sort of contract and need to be put in place. So that's happening. Beyond that as well, when I was visiting with zoning about permitting towers, if we were to build towers, they did mention a couple new tower sites that I wasn't aware of. GenCom has looked at them that have already gone through county zoning. One is down in the Wooddale area, which is between Birchwood and Exland. That's a 400-foot tower, and then one by Oxbow. So we have not reached out to those companies yet, but those are going to be additional alternatives for us to look at to lease tower space rather than build towers. So, I mean, the short story there, and Gary's online, we have options. We have actually plenty of options. If we want to lease, there's some options there, and still building is an option. Looking at just one thing, and if you're on the zoning committee, you know this, if we go to build towers and get them permitted, one of the some of the language in our zoning code, it talks about what options were there to available to co-locate on other towers.
Mhm.
rather than build new. And so we want to be prepared to answer that question if we choose to build. What were our options and why didn't we go that route? And then separate from that, that's kind of looking at the non-bug tussle route. Now with bug tussle last month, we looked at if we were to partner with them, and there were some gaps in the southeast portion of the county. I'm gonna steal the screen here. So we had GenCom look at a couple other options. So one is adding in the Connors Lake DNR tower, which we've used in the past to cover that southeast portion. And that purple area in the southeast, Connors Lake would cover all of that. And then the other option we've looked at, Kimberly, we're determining the Kimberly Clark bug tussle tower. So Price County is engaged with bug tussle as well, looking at putting in a fiber ring and towers in Price County. One of their tower sites is the Kimberly Clark bug tussle tower, which is in Price County, but it's just east of the county line, and it would also provide the coverage we need in that southeast portion. Now, there's just ifs with that. That's if Price County goes ahead with bug tussle and if we can work out an agreement with them to use some of their tower space. But so I guess the short story with bug tussle is then we have options there to cover the entire county as we want to get the coverage we want. So we're still working on it though. A couple things I want to bring up just as things we're working on to consider is there's some trade-offs. If we go the bug tussle route, they build the towers, it reduces our total outlay for building our network because we don't have any tower cost. It provides some other benefits to the community potentially with fixed wireless and the fiber ring and cell phone service. The downside is that we're putting some of our borrowing capacity at risk, and potentially if that project doesn't work out, we take the debt service on and have to pay that. If we don't go that route and we look at, okay, we're going to build our own network and operate it, we have a choice of leasing towers or building our own towers. If we build towers, it's cost us more money. It's a $2.5 million project that we have to service the debt on. If we lease towers, it's going to lower our construction costs, but we'll be paying leases every year. And if we're looking at 3 to 4 sites that we'd be paying a lease on, I believe, between WOJB, something in the winter area, and 1 or 2 towers in the south portion of the county. And if you just average that out, we've been hearing anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 on the expense, top end for monthly lease rates. So just average it out at $2,000, $24,000 a tower, 4 towers. It could be pushing $100,000 annually just to lease that space. From a financial side of our county budget, and this is what we get to work with. Debt service is easier because debt service goes outside the levy cap. $100,000 in lease for towers would be an operating expense within the sheriff's department budget. So that'd be an increase in our levy. We're only allowed generally, we get about a 1% increase in our levy from new construction, which is less than 100,000. So that would eat it up. So
Wow.
that's what the budget we're playing with right now. And so
If I understand correctly, it would be better to build
from a, just,
financial,
yeah, from a just,
if we didn't go bug tussle.
right. It'd be better to build from a financial standpoint because it'd be debt service that we do. Now, when we build though, now we own and operate towers as well. So we're going to see some additional, even if we do that, there's going to be an increase in operating costs because we're going to have electricity for each of those towers, maintenance. Not as much as leasing, but it's still going to increase some costs. So, and then I guess the other thing, if we own the towers, we'd have the potential lease space on them. But I'm wondering, without one, that's not our business. So we'd have to figure out how to get into that business.
Right.
And we can, but at the same time, with all these other towers that are going up, how much demand is there going to be for leasing space if there's opportunities for us to lease space?
But I know at the last county board meeting, it was suggested that the county doesn't want to be in the tower business. But I believe some of the supervisors don't understand the importance of these towers getting into southern Sawyer County for our EMS, our deputies, fire departments. We need that coverage to keep them safe and the people safe out there. So, I believe we gotta do what we got to do to make that happen.
Yeah, and I would say overall, this is going to be an increase in expense and, building a better network. But that's what we need to do if you want to get to the network we need for the coverage we want. Because up to this point, we've been, on attaching our equipment to fire towers, water towers,
Right.
things that just don't provide, I mean, they're lower, they're not going to provide the coverage. That's probably part of the reason we've had the problems up to this point. So we're trying to get away from that.
Andy, do we have any idea the time frame for Bug Tussle to get moving or we get moving?
Either way, we're not going to have anything till over a year from now.
Yeah.
I mean, Bug Tussle, if they go ahead, they wouldn't start building till next year. And for us to put up towers, it'd be next year. And some of the towers we'd lease are not, they've been permitted but not constructed yet as well.
And when we say we'd have them, someone else put them up and all that, be contracted.
Yeah, we would contract. Yeah. Gary's online. Is there, Gary, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I
in
was
there?
just gonna say, it's very common for counties to own their own towers. Most counties do. They may not own all of their towers, but having some of the key towers that they own. I do know the state of Wisconsin is looking at putting in a site near Loretta Draper. And I was gonna reach out to them to see if there could be some joint venture to put up a tower there that they pay for a lot of the cost and put it on county land. So that's an option as well. But we did a project in Washburn County and we could not get good lease rates. So we ended up building and they ended up buying and we built 2 towers for them. They're the only ones on there now, but yes, if anybody wants to lease in the future, we can help navigate that as well. We work with counties to help with them with that. So owning a tower, I always say is good because you're not paying a lease rate and they can't jack up the price on you in the future. I mean, it's your asset. And the maintenance on the tower is pretty minimal, especially a self-supporting tower. And it's really the electricity for the tower lights, if they have lights. But you're gonna have electricity even if you have a radio system at the base of the building anyways, if you're leasing it. So I think the annual cost of owning a tower is very cheap.
Mr. Sorolski, you have a question?
Going back to the Kimberly Clark, that would be, we'd just be leasing from them, right? And do you have any idea what kind of, if it's expensive or?
No, I talked to Price County and they let me have GenCom look at the network. Like they're open to working out an arrangement with us.
Okay.
But honestly, they're not 100% committed to moving with Bug
Right.
Tussle either.
Yeah, understand.
So the next steps right now are a couple of things. I just briefly talked to Gary this morning is to start reaching out to some of these tower that are either in place or constructed and start talking about lease rates to see where we'd be at. So we can kind of do a cost benefit on build or lease and put those numbers together. And then for the Bug Tussle side, we're still working on them on doing our due diligence just on them as a business and whether we would want to partner up with them and extend our debt capacity to them. We know that there's an option we know that the tower sites and the fiber would all work for us, but it's more at this point about how comfortable are we partnering with them. So we need, and we're working with other counties who are doing the same thing and kind of doing our due diligence together. I didn't put it on for your agenda. It's on for finance and admin next week. There are 2 documents, a notice of intent and a authorizing resolution that we would need to pass this month to keep Bug Tussle as an option open. It wouldn't bind us to them. It just says that we're talking and we have a notice of intent. In August, we either have to decide whether we're going to commit to them or not work with them. And that's based on that borrowing package that they're putting together for next year.
And that the leasing option, does that get anything going any faster or?
It could. I mean, if the towers are already constructed, we'd be able to start putting equipment on it. Gary, do you want to talk just timeline in general? Maybe on best case scenario, worst case scenario?
I mean, if you build a tower, there's almost about 4 months it's almost a year process. And it depends on when you start. When we did Washburn County, they gave us the notice to proceed in November. And by the time the weather sat in and digging up the ground and putting in concrete, nothing started till April. So there's about a 3 or 4 months regulatory process that the engineering company has to go through, just to get the zoning, and not just the zoning, but their state requirements and different things. So, and then once they do all the construction drawings and then we start building, usually the tower can be put up within a couple months by the time you put in the concrete and then put the tower up. So the best case is 6 months, but it's averaging closer to 9 to 12 months for a tower.
And if we're leasing space, like just say WOJB. says,
Yeah, if it's
we-
an existing site and if they have the building, you can go in pretty quick if we can use their existing building. If we have to put up a shelter, that's going to just slow it down because there's some civil work to do. But any site that's got a current building, it's pretty quick. I mean, once we start putting in the new radio system, it'll be almost as quick as if it's a site you're currently using.
And we can bring on one tower site at a time. We don't need to have everything set.
Yes, you don't need it will be a new simulcast system, so all the towers will transmit at the same time. And as you bring on more sites, your coverage will increase.
Okay, Andy, I'm looking at this bug tussle on wireless.
Yep.
Now they got Ojibwa on here as a tower site. What's up with that?
Where are you at?
Right here. 225,000.
Oh,
Am I looking at something wrong here?
nope, that's the Meadowbrook. That's probably south of Ojibwa. It's in the Ojibwa area.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, because I got it wrote down here, but then I'm gonna add, somebody, and I don't know, they didn't say they were from Bug Tussle, called me at my home regarding the town, how they could go about finding out if they could build on that chunk of land over there. And I didn't get his first name, but his last name was Larson. Is there somebody that works with Bug Tussle named Larson? Is Bug Tussle on there?
I don't think so, but I do know that Bug Tussle or one of their agents was in contact with zoning about tower sites.
Yeah, because the guy
Just
talked,
last-
he didn't know how to go about it. I said, well, you gotta go through zoning first. And then you gotta get approved by our township also. And I asked this representative to come to one of our town board meetings to explain what they got going on, because I got a lot of residents that are very, very curious about this tower. I mean, I'm for it myself. I mean, any tower we can get down there in that area, whether it be a cell tower or to help out our EMS and our deputies and our sheriff's department and ambulance, I'm all for that. But I'm also all for saving money for the county too. So, but that guy is supposed to get a hold of me again, and he's gonna come to one of our board meetings and explain to the board also what they're up to.
What are the town's concerns?
The megahertz that come off that tower for health is the biggest concern. To me, I guess I don't understand. Is that like a health issue or something?
No, the level of the voltage that comes off of those they're in the microvolts. They're very, very small.
You worried about
Okay.
blowing or what?
Yeah, because I believe that that's the main concern. Is that, but otherwise, if there was from my understanding, if there's no concern, I mean, the town would pass it easily, and I would push for the town to pass it, but.
Yeah, there is not a health issue with the
Okay.
low level. If it was like a high powered broadcast transmitter or something like that, or a low level like they used to do for the submarines that are usually really high power, but these are very low power.
Okay. Yeah, because like I say, that was the only concern that they had is the health issue that come off for the surrounding people that was by that tower. And then, well, there's a few, there's not a whole lot, but there is somebody around by it, so, okay.
I think the increase of public safety communications is more of a benefit than whatever health concerns they would have. So
Yes, yep, I agree 100%, so.
Ron, you mentioned earlier that our supervisors were concerned. What were they concerned about?
They were concerned that the county shouldn't own towers. We're not in the tower business.
We shouldn't?
We shouldn't.
you
Was that
already
brought
own
up,
towers
Andy, or Am I
now.
wrong?
Yeah, you
Yeah, there
own
was a
towers
comment
now.
about
There was comment about it, yeah.
Yeah.
They should, the county shouldn't be in the tower business.
Remember the comment about.
But I believe, and I'm all for this, and I'm gonna do my darndest to push it through. However, we go here to get the coverage that we need for Southern Sawyer County and whatever. And I believe this board will do here, but. Yeah.
This is Gary again. One suggestion I can make, and I don't know if you can do this through zoning or the approval process, but it would always be good that if anybody wants to build a tower in the county, it would be nice if you can put something in your zoning that they have to provide public safety access to that tower at a greatly reduced rate, if not free. Because sometimes the only way they're going to put up the tower if they get permission. If they can't, and if you can somehow get them to offer, a very reduced rate, if not no cost to public safety, and for them to get their zoning for the tower, that would be good.
Yeah, okay.
That way, anybody puts up a tower in the future, you can go on there without having to worry about a lease rate.
Well, since I've
Other
been on
counties have done
zone-
that.
Since I've been on zoning, I don't think we ever denied a tower that I know of. So they've always been approved.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions? John, go ahead, Mr. Salzman.
There was a tower approved on Highway B about 3 miles northwest of Highway 70, just I'd say less than a year ago. And nothing has been built yet. Do you know if anything, I know it went through zoning.
No,
Is that the one by Oxbow?
I don't remember, no.
There's a tower by Oxbow that we had Gary look at.
Yeah, it has been approved with the FAA, but yes, they have not started construction yet.
All right.
Forgot what I was gonna say. Okay. Oh, that piece of land that they're looking at in the town of Meadowbrook. I know it's on a slightly hill, but there's a lot of county land around that thing. Down where I live. I don't know what they would have to pay to put it where they want it on this private land, but there's a lot of county land around down there. There's even a fire tower down there. And I don't know, it must be on state land, it wouldn't be on county land, that one, but I don't know why we couldn't put a tower in there. But I'm sure that the state owns that tower. I know they own the tower, but I'm not sure if they own the land, but that was just a thought.
So it says discussion and possible action. Are we gonna maybe propose something on the number 2? Is that what is recommended by Andy?
Well, nothing as of today.
Yeah. We need some more info.
Yeah, I thought there was something you mentioned a little bit ago, we had an action. You had anything?
That for at next week's finance day, I didn't put it on for public safety. It's just the notice of intent and the
That's what it's-
resolution to authorize.
This one's just discussion
Yeah.
and possible action.
I mean, I'm hoping we're narrowing it down, but we need
Yeah.
the lease numbers and the construction numbers to kind of
We got
compare the
numbers to
two.
go with.
I was just-
And I think the last thing I forgot to mention too, the other thing, Bug Tussle, we know those towers will all have fiber with going the other direction. Lease towers may or may not have fiber. And then if we build towers, are they in locations where fiber is accessible? We don't need fiber. The proposal that GenCom initially put together is microwave based, but it would be nice to have, I think, fiber at the locations if possible.
Okay, any more questions? All right, no, thank you. All right, number E, communication specialist report.
Hey, guys, I don't have a whole lot to update you on. We're still waiting on the tower climbers for the Hayward water tank. All the equipment's here and waiting. It's just they've been rained out multiple times, as all of us have been.
Yeah, no doubt.
So they've all been a little busy, and it's just been a struggle to get them to do much of anything anywhere for us these days, just because they've got bigger projects that they've got to get done and they're under time crunches on. So that's really been my big focus, is trying to get them some urgency to get up here. But
Okay,
that's really all I have for you guys.
great. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you. Number F, code enforcement specialist.
So this month, impounds and whatnot at the dog pound have increased. Mostly they have been reclaimed by owners, which is good. We just had a couple that we had to give to the Humane Society. We are getting a lot of calls for dogs at large. Those continue to be the majority of what I get calls about. In regards to the dog pound itself, the facility, we are looking to do a few improvements in regards to like painting, getting a new sign. There's a good deep clean in there as well. For zoning and public health, I'm starting to do more with public health. I attend their meetings every Friday, and I'm starting to draft their letters and go out to calls and stuff with them. And then zoning, I'm still doing the on-site visits for the complaints, taking photos, measurements, and drafting those letters as well. So that's all I got.
So when you go out with zoning, what are you looking for out there?
It kind of varies. The majority of it, we get complaints about like people putting up like decks or sheds with no permits. Or if it's a vacant land with no like dwelling, so no house, if they have a camper shed on there, it's technically not allowed, kind of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was just gonna say, the way I believe it's working is zoning gets complaints,
Yeah.
and Jake puts together a list of sites for her to follow up on. Or zoning might be out on other inspections and sees something in the neighborhood. They have her follow up on those. And then communicate with the property owners.
What's your, the dogs at large, what's the area that has the most dogs at large complaints?
The majority, at least for this month, I know for sure, has really been like the winter area. Typically it can vary, but yeah, either like Hayward or Winter have been big ones.
Okay. I know you're still new at this, but after you get things under your belt, could you give us a written report on this?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, appreciate it. John, anybody else got any questions for? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, number 11, Child Support Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had submitted a written report
Mm-hmm.
and just wondering if anyone has any questions. I don't have any additions to it.
Is 11 or 1,122 open cases pretty standard for this time of year?
It stays about the same. We're seeing a lot more cases where we've already got a case for, let's say, mom to pay dad or dad to pay mom, but now the child's been put in foster care. So that opens up 2 more cases for mom to pay foster care, dad to pay foster care. So we're seeing more of that, and it's usually happens when it's summer vacation and parents are working and there's no one home to take care of the kids. So they get a little crazy, and then the CPS gets involved, and then they're put into foster care.
Under the paternity establishment, it has 106.84%. Is that good?
That's really good. Yeah.
It's over 100. I figured it'd be good.
Yeah.
How many people work in your department? Because you guys collect $976,000. Is it just you, or is it?
No, there's myself and Janet Springer and Amanda Davidson. We're the enforcement, and we do enforcement establishment. I do the paternities enforcement establishment. And then one day a week, we have a person that does just locate. There's so many people that we can't find if they're working for cash or if they're not using their social security number. She has a lot of tools that she can look for people. She does that, and then she runs a lot of reports for us. But as far as just working the cases, there's 3 of us. And I've been there 30 years. Janet's been there like 25 or 26, and Amanda's been there 22. So we've got a lot of experience. We can find them and they can't really tell us any lies anymore because we've heard everything.
Heard it all. So all that's collected from Sawyer County residents though?
Yes.
All these numbers are Sawyer County. Wow.
Well, it's a Sawyer County case. So if they got divorced in Sawyer County or we started the case in Sawyer County because they were living here, it stays in Sawyer County. So they might not live here anymore, but their case is here. They could petition the court to have a change of venue if they don't live here anymore. But they might not live here, but the case still remains here. But most of them are still living here. At least one of the parents are here.
Okay. Good. Good job. All right.
Just, as long as Sandy's here, it was on last month's report, but do you wanna, well, one, congratulations on 30 years
Thank you.
back in May. Then you were recognized by the state, or
Yes.
the agency was. You wanna talk a little bit about that?
I was really surprised. I just had this big manila envelope on my desk, and sometimes I'm a little at odds with the state. And Janet asked me what it was, and I saw it was from the state, and I jokingly said it's probably anthrax because a lot of times I'm at odds with the state. So I hadn't even opened it for a couple weeks, and then we've received it once since I've been here. But we're just doing a really good job, and I think a lot of it is because there's always someone in the office, but we're working remote. So that gives us a chance to not have any interruptions, not have the phone ringing and people coming to the door. We're able to work on our files without interruptions, and it gives us a good chance to just stay focused.
Good. Well, we want to congratulate you and thank you on all you do and thank you for your report, you and
Thank
your
you.
staff.
Thank you.
Anybody have any more questions? Okay, thank you. All right, number 12, Mr. Fremmel. Are you on there?
Yep, I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Well, of course, there's my report. Obviously, our runs are up from last year, 1,007 versus 939. You can see that's at the billing report first. I'm still going through the new billing software, so that report is actually from Mike Margren that he sent me to go over, and I was in a conference all week, so I just submitted his report. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. But if you want to go past the billing report into my public safety report,
Yeah, go ahead.
so, you know, obviously calls from township are broke down like normal. I was a little late in getting my numbers, so if you see on the billing report, the call numbers are different than what's on mine. It's just because his are a month older than what I had. Of course, I also used the wrong acronym for the conference I went to. It's actually supposed to be the Wisconsin Coroners and Medical Association, not the EMS Association. But we were down in the conference for 3 days. I did do a speech on one of our cases up here, which went really well. But we were more concerned about what the state passed this year for coroners and medical examiners. A lot of it has nothing really to do with anything public safety wise, just more about cremation permits and doctors reporting. However, they were going to make education mandatory for coroners and medical examiners. And at the last minute, it sounds like they just changed it to highly suggested. So to me, that just means that they didn't want to give us any funding for education from the state. The other big thing is Civeris, which is our state reporting for death certificates. They are going to be updating just like the state did for the ambulance side. So they're going to be going to a more cloud-based service. Supposed to be more user-friendly, but we will see on that. On the update for that, the software that I use for keeping track of cases is not going to be able to upgrade with the Severus, so we're going to have to switch to a different case reporting software, which is called Cohero. And as our contract with Forensic Filer ends, we'll be starting in August here to Cohero. And as the new state website comes up, it should be able to speak back and forth to that. On the ambulance side, obviously, like the sheriff said, we had a pretty bad rollover on the 21st. I had an EMS debrief with my staff to make sure everybody's good, if we need to give them any help or if they've had any issues with what was going on. Plus, we are setting a county-wide debrief for everybody involved, from dispatchers to the fire departments, July 9th in the little assembly room. So the doc and stuff can give updates, and we could just make sure that we don't have people slipping through the cracks, because one of my biggest pushes, as everybody knows, is mental health for the county. And I like to make sure I'm on top of those kind of things. So if I can find people that are in need of help, I can point them in the right direction, because the county has a lot of resources that are available to people. Lastly, the paramedic students that we are sponsoring, they are in their clinical phase. They're working at the hospitals around the area, as well as the other ambulance services and our ambulance services, and they should be finishing up by mid-January. Any questions?
No, well, I do have one question. Stone Lake Ambulance, where's that housed at right now?
So right now we have the brand new ambulance. We are getting reloaded, waiting to get it DOT'd. I just got to have GenCom come through and put a speaker and get that loaded. And then once that brand new ambulance is done, we are going to move an ambulance from here down to Excellent. That's where what we'll call Unit 5, that's where that's going to be stored.
And is there gonna be any way to run it down there or no?
Yeah, we're gonna, once I get it down there, I'm gonna make a big push, because there are EMTs that are down there.
Yes.
Some of them work for Rusk County, some of them work for Four Corners Ambulance Service, a couple of them work for me. So I'm gonna kind of try to do a big recruitment down there to see if I can make sure that we can get people, excited and able to start staffing that with crews when there's calls down there, because that is one of the areas that I want to cover a little better. And they got really good people down there, and they've had a EMR service down there, I think, just as long, if not longer, than anybody else in the county. So got a good relationship with them, and I look forward to working with them.
Mr. Helwig.
Hey, John, wouldn't you want to,
What?
wouldn't you want to make sure that you got people down there before you
Well,
move a vehicle down there?
no, I am working with them, because like I said, I have people who work in Sawyer County that work down there. But it's just going to be easier when I get the ambulance down there to start bringing the people who actually work for the fire department, in to see the ambulance, see what how many actual licensed people there are, and start getting them moved in. Obviously, I mean, I've been down there a couple times and, trying to stump for, hey, come work for me, part-time. But it's just, as it gets down there, it gets a little more real for people. And if, the more they see it, the more I'm hoping that they're interested in joining us.
Okay, one more thing. Just wanted to clarify, there won't be service in Stone Lake anymore.
Not right now. I mean, I don't know how long the actual contract with North is that they have down there with the Stone Lake, Washburn County. So we'd have to, that's something that me and Andy will have to talk about, in the future.
I think what Mr. Helwig is asking about, the town of Stone Lake is in Washburn County and they went with Memorial, but if there's a call on the Sawyer County side of the line in Sand Lake, there's not gonna be an ambulance in Stone Lake, so they would get serviced by Hayward most likely?
Yeah, it's serviced by Hayward right now. We actually, I think we only have one EMT in Stone Lake right now. I do have a nurse that works down there that's also on our service, but you know, the last time that we've actually paged for Stone Lake, we've never had anybody respond. So everybody else went to school. Like well, obviously we had the tragedy with Roy, and then the other person that ran down there a lot, she is learning to become a doctor out in Kentucky or Virginia somewhere. So
Okay, and we only have one ambulance in Ojibwa, right?
two, but one,
Two. Okay,
yep, two ambulances and one crew, one full-time crew.
okay, all right. All right, any questions for Mr. Fremmel? All right, thank you, Mr. Fremmel. Be safe out there, your crew on the 4th. Thank you for your report.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. All right, number B, Round Lake ambulance update.
Yeah, John and I haven't had a real chance to sit down and work on this together, but I've started pulling together, well, I guess we have talked a little bit about pulling together the call distribution from last year and turning that over to GIS, and Nicole's looking how to pull that out of her reports as well, just to get an updated view of where all our calls are going in the county. I mean, you see a list in his report, but we're gonna put them on a map so we can have some visual to show the number of calls out in the Round Lake area. And then the other thing I've done is dug into the files and pulled out the study that was done in 2017. And there's data that was put together at that time to compare it to see how our call volume has changed. Initially, it doesn't look like it's changed much. It's gone up, but the distribution around the county isn't significantly different from what I can tell. But in that report, it talked about a little bit of decisions on where bases should be located and why you can see why the Ojibwa site was selected. But it does mention in there that the sites where we had, or we still have call-in or volunteer bases like Round Lake, Stone Lake, could be looked at future sites for full-time crews. So I'm just going through trying to pull together any justification for additional sites, and then ultimately it's going to come down to dollars and cents of how much more it will cost us to staff up and run another base. I mean, outside of the construction cost, what is the yearly cost going to be for us? So
Doesn't make sense.
doesn't make sense. That's where we're starting.
Especially with what we got going on with the towers right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, towers, and then the other like John's covering a shift today. We've got people that we've sponsored to become paramedics because we're still short right now. We've adjusted the wages a couple times in the last couple of years to try to recruit more with some success, but at some point you're just shuffling paramedics around Northwest Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And that's the other difficulty with staffing up another full-time rig is having the staff to do that.
No, okay. All right, any questions? All right, we ain't gonna act on it, so it's just discussion only. Number 13, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Memorandum of Understanding.
That's still the old one that I left it on the agenda in hopes we'd have some updated language. If you just to recap that this is essentially expired now. We've been communicating with LCO about putting it back in place. We would like to put it back in place. Initially, the communication was that they were not going to agree to a renewal, but now I know that they are discussing it further. We were verbally informed that they had some language changes they wanted to see in the MOU. And just I've talked to the Assistant Attorney General, and that's not ready. And so they have not provided us with the changes yet.
Okay,
So we're still waiting to see what they'd like to change it in.
so that's just a discussion.
Yeah.
item also.
Yep,
And we'll
just
put
left it
back
on.
the agenda.
Yep, in case we had it, but we don't have it yet.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, number 14, outside committee updates. You guys sit on different committees. You got any updates that concern this public safety? Marshall, Mr. Savitsky, you?
That were brought up since last month's county board meeting.
Okay. Janie?
None.
Or the early committee meeting for the month, so
Mr. Sorolski, you got anything? Okay. All right, future agenda items. Other than the radio communications. And then Lynn, maybe, and Andy, we want to keep the ambulance one on for Round Lake. Okay. You guys ain't gonna add anything to the agenda for next month? All right, number 16, correspondence reportings from conferences and meetings. I have none. All right, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the sheriff's department and our young lady there. I can't remember her name, but I want you guys to be safe out over the 4th. And thank you for all you do. We are adjourned.